There is a distinct, agonizing beauty to the sound of a 56,000 dial-up modem, a screeching, static-laced digital handshake that once served as the gateway to the early internet. Elias remembered that sound vividly. He had secured his email address during the invite-only beta days of the platform, a time before social media conglomerates and algorithmic feeds. His handle, Vagabondrogue, was a digital artifact, older than a significant portion of the current online population. Because of its antiquity, Elias guarded his inbox with the territorial aggression of a junkyard dog. He possessed zero tolerance for strangers who, out of laziness or sheer stupidity, used his ancient handle to sign up for newsletters, dentist appointments, or streaming services. Usually a polite request to cease and desist was met with deafening silence. So Elias had evolved. He no longer asked. He simply destroyed. If you used his email, he hijacked your password, canceled your subscriptions, and salted the earth of your digital footprint. It was a petty, satisfying hobby. But he never expected that nuking a stranger's illegal gambling account would result in a collision course with a woman who would entirely dismantle his cynical world. The barrage began on a damp Tuesday in November. Elias' phone buzzed on his mahogany desk, vibrating against a stack of architectural blueprints. A notification flashed, "Welcome to Apex Wager. Your deposit of $500 has been confirmed." Elias sighed, dragging a hand down his face. Another idiot who couldn't remember their own login. He swiped the notification away, assuming it was a one-off error. It wasn't. By Thursday, his inbox was a war zone. The notifications poured in with relentless, rhythmic annoyance. "Congratulations, Vagabondrogue, your parlay hit. You've won $240. A few hours later. Withdrawal of $300 initiated. The following morning, in-play bet successful, $600 added to your vault. Whoever was using his email wasn't just gambling, they were winning, consistently. They were pulling in hundreds of dollars a day, executing complex algorithmic bets on obscure table tennis matches in Eastern Europe and collegiate volleyball games. Elias stared at the glowing screen, the harsh blue light reflecting in his dark eyes. A flicker of morbid curiosity wrestled with his mounting irritation. God only knew how much capital this phantom gambler was risking to yield those margins, but the sheer volume of spam was cluttering his workspace. Enough was enough. Elias navigated to the Apex Wager customer support portal. A sterile chat window popped up, hosted by a representative named Kevin. "How can I assist you today?" Kevin's automated cheerfulness grated on Elias' nerves. Elias typed with deliberate heavy keystrokes. "This is my email address. I did not sign up for your service. Someone is using my contact information illegally." There was a brief pause, indicated by 3 bouncing gray dots. "I understand your concern. To verify, can you please confirm the last 4 digits of the social security number attached to the account?" "I cannot," Elias replied, his lips curling into a tight, humorless smile, "because it is not my account. However, as you can see, I am corresponding from the email in question. I want the account frozen and the contact information purged." The back-and-forth devolved into a bureaucratic tango. Kevin demanded verification. Elias provided only enough metadata to prove ownership of the inbox while vehemently denying ownership of the funds. He weaponized the platform's own terms of service against them, citing fraud protocols and unauthorized communication limits. Finally, after 45 minutes of relentless digital badgering, Kevin yielded. "We have detected suspicious activity regarding the contact information provided," Kevin typed, the corporate mask slipping into defeat. "The account in question has been permanently closed. All pending funds are locked pending a fraud investigation. Have a nice day." Elias closed the tab, leaning back in his leather chair. A profound, malicious satisfaction washed over him. The spam stopped instantly. The silence in his inbox was pristine. "Use your own damn email," he muttered to the empty room. He didn't think about the phantom gambler again until 3 days later. An email arrived in his primary inbox. Not from Apex Wager, but from an encrypted private server. The sender name simply read, "The Ghost." The subject line was ominous: "You owe me $4,200, you absolute sociopath." Elias clicked it, his brow furrowing. "Dear Vagabondrogue," the email began, "I am the owner of the Apex Wager account you just gleefully vaporized. My actual handle is Vagabondrogue99. In a moment of sleep-deprived stupidity, I forgot the numbers. I spent 4 months developing a predictive statistical model for international table tennis. I was up $4 grand. Now my funds are locked in a corporate void because some old-head internet gatekeeper threw a tantrum over some inbox clutter. I hope you're happy. Elias stared at the text. Instead of annoyance, a sharp bark of laughter escaped his chest. The sheer audacity. He cracked his knuckles and hit reply. Dear Ghost, he wrote, your lack of attention to detail is a personal failing, not my problem. If you can build a predictive statistical model, you should be able to remember a two-digit suffix. Consider the lost $4,000 a tuition fee for a valuable life lesson in basic data entry. Best of luck in your future numberless endeavors. He hit send, expecting that to be the end of it. It wasn't. 10 minutes later, a reply materialized. A tuition fee? That's incredibly rich coming from a man whose handle sounds like a rejected Dungeons and Dragons character. Let me guess, you wear a lot of tweed, drink black coffee because you think it makes you interesting. And your greatest achievement this week was winning an argument with a customer service bot. Elias felt a strange, electric jolt in his stomach. The prose was sharp, the insult highly specific and frustratingly half-accurate. He did drink his coffee black. He pushed his chair closer to the monitor. I'll have you know my greatest achievement was actually dismantling your illegal gambling empire without leaving my desk, Elias countered. And for the record, it's charcoal cashmere, not tweed. Tweed is for professors who have given up. The emails rapidly devolved into a vicious, highly articulate sparring match. Her name was Clara. She was a rogue data scientist who found corporate life suffocating and used algorithmic betting to fund her impulsive hobbies. She was chaotic, fiercely intelligent, and possessed a razor-sharp wit that left Elias constantly anticipating her next message. Days bled into weeks. The hostile banter subtly morphed into genuine curiosity. Elias found himself checking his phone during meetings, waiting for the familiar chime of her encrypted address. They debated the philosophical merits of artificial intelligence, traded brutal critiques of modern architecture, and shared stories of their respective childhoods. Through the cold medium of text, a vibrant, undeniable warmth began to radiate. Clara's mind was a labyrinth of fascinating contradictions, and Elias was entirely lost in it. One rainy Thursday, Clara's message was unusually brief. I've crunched the numbers. The statistical probability of me forgetting my suffix, you being the exact kind of vindictive jerk to nuke my account, and us actually tolerating each other's existence for a month is staggeringly low. We are an anomaly, and what do you do with an anomaly? Elias replied, his pulse quickening. You investigate it, her response came a minute later. I'm in your city this weekend for a conference. You owe me an incredibly expensive dinner to offset the $4,000 you incinerated. The Obsidian Room. Saturday, 8 p.m. Where the Cashmere. The Obsidian Room was a subterranean speakeasy masked as a high-end steakhouse, wrapped in dark mahogany and smelling faintly of charred rosemary, expensive bourbon, and melted bone marrow. Elias arrived 10 minutes early, ordering a neat whiskey to settle the sudden, uncharacteristic coil of nerves in his gut. The ambient lighting cast long cinematic shadows across the velvet booths. Then she walked in. Elias knew it was Clara before she even spoke. She moved with the same chaotic, confident energy that infused her emails. She wore a deep emerald slip dress that contrasted sharply with her messy, raven-dark hair. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned the room until they locked onto him. A slow, dangerous smile spread across her lips. As she slid into the booth opposite him, the physical reality of her hit Elias like a physical blow. The scent of rain and dark vanilla clung to her skin. You're taller than I modeled for, Clara noted, her voice a low, raspy purr that sent a shiver down his spine. And you are entirely too smug for someone who just lost a fortune to a typo, Elias shot back, though his voice lacked its usual bite. Dinner was a blur of exquisite flavors and electric conversation. They ordered the most expensive Wagyu on the menu, drinking a bold, peppery Cabernet that stained their lips. There was no awkwardness, no hesitation, only the seamless continuation of a banter that had been brewing in the digital ether. Elias watched the way the candlelight caught the edge of her jaw, the way she gestured wildly with her fork when explaining a complex theorem. He realized, with a terrifying clarity, that the annoyance he had felt weeks ago had entirely transmuted into a profound, consuming fascination. As the plates were cleared and the restaurant began to empty, the space between them seemed to shrink. Clara rested her chin on her hand, her dark eyes studying his face with an intensity that made the room feel uncomfortably warm. You know, she murmured, her gaze dropping momentarily to his lips before rising back to his eyes, I'm still incredibly angry at you. I know, Elias whispered, leaning forward until the scent of her vanilla perfume wrapped around him completely. But if I hadn't burned your empire to the ground, we wouldn't be sitting here. Clara's hand slid across the cold marble table, her fingers lightly tracing the knuckles of his hand. The touch was feather-light, yet it sent a shockwave through his nervous system. True, but you still owe me a debt, vagabond rogue. Elias turned his hand over, tangling his fingers with hers. Her skin was warm, her pulse thrumming against his own. I intend to spend a very long time paying it off. They walked out into the cool, rain-slicked streets of the city. The neon signs bled red and gold onto the wet pavement. Beneath the awning of a closed bookstore shielded from the drizzle, Elias pulled her close. The kiss was inevitable, a clash of heat, spilled wine, and undeniable gravity. It was urgent and deep, erasing the final boundaries between them. Clara's hands tangled in his jacket, pulling him flush against her, grounding the chaotic probability of their meeting into a singular, perfect reality. Sometimes, the universe disguises its greatest gifts as minor inconveniences. A misplaced keystroke, a forgotten number, a flurry of annoying notifications. These are often viewed as the digital debris of modern life. But occasionally, if you have the patience to look past the frustration, that debris forms a trail leading to exactly where you are meant to be. We spend so much time fiercely guarding our boundaries, building walls to keep the chaos out, that we forget chaos is often the birthplace of something beautiful. So the next time you find yourself entirely derailed by a stranger's mistake, take a breath before you hit delete. You never know what kind of anomaly is waiting on the other side of the screen. If you enjoyed this story of digital friction turning into undeniable sparks, hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment below telling me the strangest way you've ever met someone, and make sure to ring the bell so you never miss another tale. Until next time, keep your inboxes clean, but keep your mind open.